Everyone, this is Emily with Happiness and Books. Yesterday I had decided I want to do some thrift book shopping, and I decided to film my experience and then show you what I got. I wanted to get as many books as I could for $50, and I scoped out a few different places in town. I filmed bits of it for you, showed you what I got, did a book haul as well, and then at the end I did several screenshots and recordings showing you what I was able to do in the past with buying budget books of high quality. And I show you several different websites, tips and tricks for searching and sorting, where to look, and give you some good resources for budget thrift book shopping. And I show you some great new finds that I found as well. So I'm going to go ahead and launch into the video now and let you play through it. Please let me know in the comments what you think, or if you have any other ideas, any websites that I missed here, or recommendations for thrift book shopping, please let me know in the comments below. I hope you find this useful and find some true gems for yourself. All right, here we go. So I'm heading down the road. It's crummy cold day, and I realize suddenly this is the first time I've had to wear my winter coat since last year, and I apparently gained like 15 pounds since my surgery because it's like won't even zip now, so that sucks. But I'm going to go down to St. Vincent De Paul, maybe Goodwill, and look at their used books and show a little bit about what you can get when you go to thrift stores and look for current good quality. Okay, I'm back now from my first budget thrift store book haul. That was St. Vincent De Paul, just down the street from where I live, and there are multiple in town. $27 and a big heavy bag of books with some total chunkers, and you can see from the footage there's just rows and rows of books. I'd say there are big hardbacks were probably $4.99, $3.99, 99 cents, $2.99. I mean, the downside is there's no categorical organization, so you have to be searching. Like, it's basically a fiction by author name, and you don't know who you're looking for. You just want to see what they have. You're just looking at every single title, row after row, until you spot stuff that looks interesting, or books you've heard of or whatnot. Some stuff I never heard of that I grabbed. A couple things that I had seen on the Barnes & Noble shelf I actually grabbed. They were like $3 that I almost bought a couple weeks ago at Barnes & Noble for like a big old chunker for like $27. So let me show you. They only give you a paper bag. I didn't think to bring a book bag. I have a major bag of books and some huge ones at the bottom. Look at, I don't even know how many there are. There's probably a dozen for $27. $27. So I'm going to show you a couple. I did get Dr. Zhivago. They had a whole classic section. I am starting to get together books for my winter reads, so I was looking for anything of interest that I can read and review for and recommend for winter reads. So I'm going to wait and show you all the rest at the end when I get out of my coat and get my camera set up. And then next I'm going to head to a separate little trip. I'm going to head to Goodwill stores, and Goodwill is on the other side of my street, just down the road the other way. And I'm going to see what they have there. It is the end of October. I have a surprise that St. Vinny's didn't have any particular setup for like horror or Halloween reading. I'm about to show you everything I got first at St. Vincent De Paul. You guys like my Smurf shirt? Isn't that cute? I was totally not expecting to go on camera today when I went on this sudden urge to go thrift book shopping. And so this is like, you know, I'm home all day, don't care about my hair and everything day, which I've been having a lot of those lately. Because I work at home, my business has been a little bit slow, so I've had a lot more free time, and you know what happens in that case. But I was showing you before by Boris Pasternak, Dr. Zhivago. So this is a gorgeous book. I do want to talk a little bit about thrift shopping, some tips and tricks. So it's a good idea to, since most of these thrift stores, they have like their categories, general fiction or whatever, are alphabetical. And not like, I mean, I think all the exterior walls at both stores had the trade paperback, which are these little tiny ones, the little tiny ones where you have to have good vision, like for when you're younger to read, which I can barely read now. But I'll tell you that all the like trade, this one I did not get there, all the trade paperbacks, the little ones, I'm sorry, mass market paperbacks, the trade paperbacks are these ones, I think. The mass market paperbacks that they have on the exterior walls are kind of all by category. They had a mystery suspense that went like a whole wall at the first one, and even at Goodwill they had a bigger section of that. But all the mass markets were beat to heck up and back. They were a disaster. Like, I did not find one decent copy of anything that I could have seen that I would have pulled out. But then in the trade paperback, it was just kind of the middle size of the paperbacks we're used to getting, like when you buy a new book on Barnes & Noble these days. It was all like just general fiction alphabetical. So it's a good idea before you go in there to jot down some names of 5 or 6 or 7 authors you like to see what you can find. Because if you don't have anything in mind of an author you're looking for, or some titles you're looking for, you have to know and look by author name. You might know the name of the title, but not the author's name. Then you're just going to be perusing. So I didn't go in there with any kind of plan or prep. And yeah, all you can do is like scan. You have to read every single spine, you know, rows and rows of books to see what there is. I mean, I didn't have anyone in particular. And you have to pull out the gems. So you got to expect you're going to be in there for a while. And they did have a hardback section of fiction titles of both stores of mystery suspense, but it was so cliche. The standard overproduced series books by people like James Patterson, Kathleen Coulter, Danielle Steele, Tom Clancy, Janet Ivanovich, and Dinar Kuntz, like 10, 15 books, hardbacks from all these authors, just all they were, James Baldacci, all the way down, the very rare few that made it with the big bucks in the fiction writing world, that just pump out the books and use big publishers, who probably also have ghostwriters to help. So I can say that the best value in buying books at thrift stores is probably not in these mass market paperbacks, probably in the hardbacks, because you're getting hardbacks for $3.99 to $4.99. really only $1 more than the paperbacks, and they hold up better. So you're going to see a lot of them that look better. But anyway, I'm happy to have Dr. Zhivago. This is going to go on my winter reads list that I will be discussing here on my channel. It's supposed to be one of the greatest works written in the 1950s. Obviously, it takes place in Russia. Completely different than the movie, if you've seen the old movie. So I'm excited to read this. I've actually never read it. It's pretty harsh, wintry landscape. And I'll give you some more tips again as we get through here. Let me show you some more paperbacks. Ironically, I just saw this. See, this is a gem I pulled out in the trade paperback section just by perusing. And this is Edward Jones's The Known World. It was a Pulitzer Prize winning book, and it looks almost brand new. My guess is whoever bought it didn't read it because they realized it was boring, or maybe it was a gift. It literally looks like it came out of Barnes & Noble. And so this is supposed to be, I saw this recently on a recommendation blog on the internet about noteworthy life-changing books for literary fiction, and this was on that list. So, excuse me. In one of the most acclaimed novels in recent memory, Edward Jones, two-time National Book Award finalist, tells the story of Henry Townsend, a black farmer and a former slave who falls under the tutelage of William Robbins, the most powerful man in Manchester County. Making certain he never circumvents the law, Townsend runs his affairs with discipline, but when the death takes him unexpectedly, his widow can't uphold the estate's order and chaos ensure. So I'm guessing scandals and things happen, but it's supposed to be an absolutely brilliant book and not a real cheery read. So here's another gem I found. This is a funny story. So you guys know Chevy Chase, you know the movie Fletch, when he's the funny detective who does everything wrong, kind of like Inspector Clouseau. Those Fletch movies with Chevy Chase were my dad's favorite movies. And all through the years we'd watch them, and he just thought they were the funniest thing ever, over and over. Apparently, it's actually a book. There's Fletch 1 and Fletch the second one, which by George MacDonald, the two movies are based on. I had no idea the movies were spinoffs of the book. And so it's supposed to be, I thought this was just like thrilling. Like, I'm so excited. I wish my dad was still alive because he died last year. Fletch is an investigative reporter whose methods are a little unorthodox. Currently, he's living on the beach with a strung out, trying to find the source of the drugs they live for, blah, blah, blah. So he's kind of a detective that portrays himself as the idiot, but really is kind of smart. But it's supposed to be really funny, and I'm excited. I didn't know that it was a book. So again, these are all gems because this store had no organization. This is one I picked up from GM Mallet. It was a mystery called Wicked Autumn. And since we're in autumn, this intrigued me a little bit. The premise sounds good. A superb new mystery series from Agatha Award-winning author GM Mallier. The first in a delightful series set in a bucolic English hamlet of Nether Monkslip. Wicked Autumn stars a handsome and eligible vicar with a shady past as a secret agent. Max Tudor has all the village ladies swooning until one of them turns up dead. Perfect reading for Agatha Christie fans. Wicked Autumn is wickedly entertaining. So this sounds like it might be a little historical, I guess. But anyway, author of Death of a Cozy Writer. So this is going to be a fun. And I think it's fun to just sometimes not just buy all the books people are recommending, the newest, greatest recommendations, or the New York Times bestsellers. I like to just find older books that most people haven't heard of, read, and share them with you guys. So they had a monumentally massive Shakespeare section, paperback, hardback, analysts, play, single, compilations, a whole rack at St. Vinny's. So I did buy Shakespeare's Macbeth in the mass market paperback. The only one I think I bought that this small. It's the only one I could find that looked almost brand new. And the price is the same whether you buy a banged up rinky-dink catastrophe copy or a brand new one. I think they're like 99 cents or something. So this is a very witchy, also autumn read. So I'm going to be reading that. Here's another complete guess. It's an Arthurian novel by Bernard Cornwell called The Winter King. I'm considering reading this one for my winter reads to share with you guys and winter recommendations, but I have to read any before I make recommendations. And this one has a tag right over the synopsis. The Winter King, the first volume of a magnificent warlord chronicles. The tale begins in Dark Age Britain, a land where Arthur has been banished and Merlin has disappeared, where a child king sits unprotected on the throne, where religion ties with magic for the souls of the people. It is to this desperate land that Arthur returns, a man at once utterly human and truly heroic. So I'm actually going to look too, and I'm going to see if these are available on Amazon, because some of these are older books, and I'll link all of these books below for you. The chances of randomly finding a used copy are probably slim, but this one was pretty good shape. It had a little bent right there, but so this one was $1.99. Okay, I picked up The Snowman by Jay Nesbo. This is for my winter reads. This is a detective fiction. Ironically, I met a gal on Facebook in one of my teddy bear, not doll collector groups, who we were talking about books, and she was like, have you read the Joe Nesbo books? I'm like, well, no. And she recommended any of his books, and I saw this one and picked it up. Apparently it's a movie now. I did not know that. So I'm going to be sure to read this first. One night after the year's first snowfall, a boy named Jonas wakes up and discovers that his mother has disappeared. Only one trace of her remains, a pink scarf, his Christmas gift to her, now worn by the snowman, that inexplicably appeared in their yard earlier that day. So this is an Inspector Harry Hole mystery. So he's kind of like James Patterson. I have a series with one particular detective cop guy that goes all around in multiple books. Anyway, you get the idea. So it's going to be good. I hope it's going to be a winter read here. Okay, so no joke, I almost bought this at Barnes & Noble when I did that Barnes & Noble book haul I showed you guys in a video like a week ago. This book was $29.99 at Barnes & Noble. It was on the shelf. I found it at St. Vincent De Paul for $2.99. It's Edward Rutherford's New York. It's a massive book. This one looks almost brand new. Again, I'm guessing whoever had it didn't read it. It's kind of like James Michener's Hawaii or Alaska, which is basically historical reading about the development of iconic lands. You know, I did read his Hawaii book, which was fantastic. I have not read the Alaska one, so let me read this to you. Edward Rutherford celebrates America's greatest city in a rich, engrossing saga, weaving together tales of families, rich and poor, native-born and immigrant, a cast of fictional and true characters whose fate rises and falls and rise again with the city's fortunes. From this intimate perspective, we see New York's humble beginnings in a tiny Indian fishing village, the arrival of the Dutch and British merchants, the Revolutionary War, the emergence of the city as a great trading and financial center, the convolutions of the Civil War, and then the Gilded Age, the explosion of immigration in the late 19th century, all the way through World War II, the near demise of Newark in the 1970s, the rebirth in the 1990s, the attack on the World Trade Center, up until basically the time this was written. So it's put into a fictional sense, but historical fiction, but as a novel, but it brings in real ties of New York's development as a metropolis from the beginning to the end. So it's supposed to be absolutely brilliant. Yeah, it's a big old chunker, but like, I don't know, is it just me, or will you just feel smarter when you read this book? Like, I think I'll feel smarter after I read it. And that's not something I would normally read. Okay, this is fascinating. Another book that looks brand new by Peter Rushworth. It's called Pinkertons Sister. I'm telling you, like, that's why you have to really peruse. Now, again, Goodwill didn't have anything that looked new. Hardly nothing. And they had hardly any books. But St. Vincent De Paul's, and this is a smaller one, it was full of some really good books. So here's the size. So this sounded really interesting. For Alice Pinkerton, trapped in a suffocating life of convention and party chatter, in 1903 New York society, it's enough to make a woman mad, or at least her a mad woman in the attic. So she escapes through the looking glass of literature, finding companionship and inspiration in Shakespeare, Wilde, Hawthorne, Stevenson, Poe, Austen, and the rest of the literary pantheon of her day. Like a character from one of her favorite novels, Alice holds a biting, eccentric view of life, seeing beyond the limitations of her circumstances to create a fascinating portrait of her society. So this is supposed to be really like funny and poignant and dazzling and magical, and for literary lovers. I did a little research about the book actually when I was standing there on my phone in St. Vinny's. And it's got some gothic elements, like similar to Jane Eyre, and it's got some like some quirky stuff like you might see in Harriet the Spy, and then all the ties into literature. And it also brings in like some historical realism about what life would have been like for a woman in the time frame. And I just thought the cover was gorgeous. So I'm actually really excited to read that. Okay. So here's another benefit, you guys, of thrift stores. I have two things to say about this book I'm about to show you. The first is they don't make them like this anymore. Because I was in publishing, modern novels are supposed to be shorter, quicker reads, because publishing costs are so expensive. They don't make the giant chunkers anymore, like Deborah Outlander, Dana Gabaldon series. The 700 to 800 novel size is not very common anymore, because the publishing is so expensive. That's another thing I noticed going through the used books, the older books, is even in the fiction, contemporary, the books were big. A lot of big books that you don't see that very much anymore. That's not common in publishing. Unless you self-publish, it's really hard to get. If you have a book that size and it's good, and a publisher wants to publish it, they're going to tell you to cut it down by hundreds of words or cut it into a 3-part series or something like that. So anyway, I purchased this mega giant book for $3.99, Stephen King's Under the Dome. Yes, and this is where the books, the thrift books really pays off, is in the hardbacks of these giant books that if you could get a book this fat, which is not very common at like a bookstore, currently it's going to cost you. It's going to cost you $30 probably. And I have a confession. I have never read a Stephen King novel. I don't even know that I've watched more than maybe 2 Stephen King movies. So my first challenge to myself to read Stephen King was going to be a mega chunker. Because if I'm going to go in, I'm going to go all the way in. And if I can't get through a mega chunker, then I'm not interested in reading any of his smaller stuff. I don't know why I never have, but this is supposed to be fascinating. On an entirely normal, beautiful day, a small town is suddenly and inexplicably sealed off from the rest of the world by an invisible force field. Planes crash into it and rain down flaming wreckage. A gardener's hand is severed as the dome descends. Cars explode on impact. Families are separated and panic mounts. No one can fathom what the barrier is, where it came from, and when it will go away. I believe they made this into a show or movie. That sounds familiar, but I haven't seen it, so that's good. The good news is the words are big, so it's not like tiny, but yeah, look at. Speaking of mega chunkers, for $3.99, brand new, Dana Gabaldon's Dragonfly and Amber. I'm probably the world's biggest Outlander fan in the entire stinking universe. When it comes to the show, I've seen the series about 5 times. Confession alert, never read any of the books. This is not the first book, but I love Orange. It's Hot Harvest. This is about where the series left off. So I'm going to read it. Yes, I am. I don't need to go back to the first one. I know everything that happens. Of course, obviously there's more in the book. So, but yeah, this is a gorgeous book. If you have not seen the Outlander series, my God, it's probably absolutely my favorite show in the entire universe. It is brilliant, historical, the costumes, the romance, the time period, the acting, the plot. It is so well done. I absolutely adore it. It's on Stars. Okay, I counted. That was 12 books for $27 from St. Vincent de Paul. And some of them were huge. $22, $5 less. Goodwill, I got like a few, and they weren't nearly as good a condition, but they were ones that I wouldn't mind reviewing, and a couple looked really interesting. Actually, I think I did get one that was in decent condition. So this was fun. This is by Ellen Barker, and I picked it up off the shelf because of the cover. It's called Keeping the House, a Novel. And this sort of looked like it was going to be about a quintessential housewife life in the 1950s, which is what I guessed before I even read the back. When Dolly Manginson moves to Pine Rapids, Wisconsin in 1950, she discovers that making marriage work is harder than it looks in the pages of Ladies' Home Journal. Dolly tries to adapt to her new life by keeping the house, supporting her husband's career, and joining the Ladies' Aid Quilting Circle. Soon her loneliness and restless imagination are seized by a vacant house owned by a once prominent Mickelson family. As her life and marriage become difficult, she begins to lose herself in piecing together the story of the Pinkertons men and women, and unravels dark secrets woven through the generations of a family who once lived there. As Keeping the House moves back and forth in time, it eloquently explores themes of heroism, passion, men's struggles, fatherhood, war, women's conflicts, and issues of conformity, identity, forbidden dreams, and forbidden love. A true telling work of American fiction. So it's supposed to be a real like crackerjack debut novel, really well done. I did a little research on it. A big old like juicy family saga, and so considering this one looks like it was never read, I thought that this actually was a pretty good deal. Okay, so I did get this had popped up as an Amazon recommendation randomly when I was looking at something similar. There's a car out there just the other day. Of course, this was a trade paperback banged all up, but it was like $2, and I really didn't want to buy it, but I did because I don't like buying banged up books. Like, I like to collect books. I want my books to look nice, but I wanted to just give it a shot since it wasn't something I would normally read. So this is Stalking That Jack the Ripper, New York Times bestseller. It's by Carrie Maniscalco. James Patterson does the forward in it, but look at this copy. I mean, it's pretty, it's not terrible, you know, but I mean, this is the status. This is probably a little better status than most of the books I saw there. I was the girl who loved the Ripper. He murdered women in cold blood. He terrorized his city. He taunted those who hunted him down. But despite all these horrors, I could not deny that I loved him. So this is about a girl who stalks him basically and becomes fanatical about researching him. It's obviously like a suspense novel. It is a reader recommendation. It's kind of a whodunit book too. This is before they knew who Jack the Ripper was. But it kind of looks a little macabre when you open it up. So I thought this might be a good read for Halloween. I don't know if I'll get to it this year, but I mean, it was like $1, so really, what could go wrong? All right. Here's another one I picked up. Now, this is an example of a hardback from the series, the wall they had of mystery, James Patterson, you know, James Baldacci standard stuff. There was a series of the Sookie Stackhouse novels by Charlene Harris. Apparently there's a series, there's like 6 of them. This is the only one that looked decent, that had a decent cover. All the others even looked bad. I'm trying to get the sticker off. The covers were really very attractive, I can tell you that. And as I get this sticker off, I'm about to show you. This is called Dead in the Family. Early Christmas shopping. So this is Dead in the Family. And $5.99 for the hardbacks, which would be, as you well know, $19.99. Just one say on the back. At Barnes & Noble, usually, sometimes $24.99. $5.99. And it looked almost brand new, but there was like 5 or 6 of these. Some of them were all banged up, but the covers were gorgeous. So if I figured I love this, it's a Sookie Stackhouse novel, which I guess is the name of the character. I'm going to read it. If I like it, I'll get some more, hopefully new. A Fey war has left the supernatural community of Bon Tim, Louisiana in chaos, and waitress Sookie Stackhouse mentally and physically drained. Still, the peace and quiet she so desperately craves is hard to come by. Even with the blood of 2 vampires in her system, Sookie is having trouble healing from the terrible torture she endured at the hands of her great-grandfather's enemies during the brief but deadly Fey War. Worse are the emotional wounds, especially over the loss of her own personal fairy godmother and the near death of her first love. Sookie is hurt and she's mad about blah, blah, blah. And it goes into some political, you know, battle type stuff. So I guess it's more fantasy. It's like a fantasy detective-y type book. It looked really interesting. I love the concept. And this is not the first time I've bought a book based on the cover. So I will fully inform you. Last books, I guess I only got 4 at Goodwill. All right. This was a New York Times bestseller. It is by Kate Morton. It's The Forgotten Garden. This one was Goodwill. One of the only other few I got that looked decent. It says $2.99, but these were sale price for $1.99 for a trade paperback, and it looks decent. In fact, I don't think it's ever been read. The spine hasn't been broken. Okay. A Tiny Girl, this sounded really fascinating and something that I have never really read. A tiny girl is abandoned on a ship headed for Australia in 1913. She arrives completely alone with nothing but a small suitcase containing a few clothes and a single book, a beautiful volume of fairy tales. Ooh. She is taken in by the dockmaster and his wife and raised as their own. On her 21st birthday, they tell her the truth, and with her sense of self shattered and very little to go on, she sets out to trace her real identity. Her quest leads her to Blackhurst Manor on the Cornish coast and the secrets of the doomed Monocroc family, but it is not until her granddaughter, Cassandra, takes up the search after her death that all the pieces of the puzzle are assembled. A spellbinding tale of mystery and self-discovery, the Forgotten Garden will take you to a place your imagination, long and lush, will never want to let go. So this sounds intriguing to me. Not only is it a nice, pretty cover, so, you know, lately I've been on this kind of mission to, I tend to read by theme. I'm reading witch fiction, I'm reading seasonal fiction, I'm reading for the fantasy class I'm developing. But sometimes I like to just read something completely new that I wouldn't normally read. And when you go to peruse thrift stores, you can just find brand new things to try out. I guess that's kind of the same concept of the Book of the Month Club. So my tips would be to do a little research in your town, look for some thrift stores, call around first if you don't want to drive all over. If you live in a bigger town, if they have a book section, or if they have a lot of books, or if there's like another location, because these thrift stores like Goodwill, St. Vinny's, whatever, they often have multiple locations in your town. Ask them which one has the most books and head on out. You're going to need a book bag or a basket. But for $30, you can probably get a good dozen books. Easy. Just know that you're going to be going there to discover new finds, and that's kind of a fun adventure. So my other tip for finding books, I'm going to show you as a screen on my phone here. All right, so this is the eBay app on my phone. You can do this on the app, or you can do it on a tablet or your computer. And if you search in the search bar at the top, if you search for Thrift Books, there are several companies. One is secondsale.com, one is Thrift Books, one is Better World Books. These have millions. Each of these companies has millions of used books on their eBay site. So if you just click the first couple that come up when you just search for Thrift Books, or you will just tap one or two of them and open it up. You'll see the company. You can choose one, and then you can go to see what else that store has. And you can search for condition. You can search for good, acceptable, very good. I always go with very good or like new. If you really don't care about that, you want to go for super, super budget, you can do acceptable or good. You can search for format. I always go for hardcover, generally because I want the most for my money. Search for hardcover, and you can't really search generally for genre, fantasy, sci-fi, whatever, which is kind of a downfall. But you can search in a price range. You can search by publication year, things of that nature. And so you would probably want to just do the search parameters that you can, and then you'll see what comes up, and you just have to kind of aimlessly scroll and see what you're looking for. There is a way on the top to sort by lowest price, so the absolute lowest, and you just have to kind of keep scrolling and see what you find. See if something strikes you. You can generally the most popular sellers or the most popular books tend to show toward the top, which is good. There's not a lot under topic there. The topics more pertain to the nonfiction, which doesn't do a lot of good unless you're looking for nonfiction most of the time. Gardening, cooking, things of that nature. Fiction is a little trickier. So, but you can type in the name of like a particular book or like a genre. You can put in fantasy, and then anything that's categorized, if they put in their categories right when they listed the item, will show up under fantasy. So then you can just get a list of like books that supposedly the company thinks are fantasy. If they listed it correctly, that will come up, and it will include children's, young adult, and adult all together. So again, you just have to kind of peruse, just like you're perusing in these thrift book shops, just to see what jumps out at you. That is the downside of not going to a mainstream bookstore or, Amazon, when you can shop by category. So the companies I like is Thrift Books and Second Sale. I've bought from them many times. They're very fast. But I'm going to put in the book New York, for example, which is one of the books I just recently bought. Let's say if you're looking for a particular book, you can actually put in the name of a particular book into the general search and until you find the one you're looking for. And sometimes you'll just find one copy. Sometimes you'll find, here's secondsale.com. It's categorized as good. You can see how inexpensive it is. Good would probably mean it's not terrible, but it's not close to like new or new quality. It might have some wear and tear. And you might have several different sellers selling it, and you can search by price. Always read the details sections on the auction. So I like to, once I choose one from one of these thrift companies, I'll go in and see what else they have because I can get combined shipping. But I'm going to put in the Winter King, which is another book I had here. And this one you'll see, there's a very good quality here. We're looking at $5, $6. The very good and the like new will be, $1 or $2 more, which is worth it to me. But some books will have tons of options from many different thrifty sellers. You can tell the difference from the ones that are thrift sellers versus people selling their own books from their house because the prices will be a lot higher when people are selling their own books most of the time. And I choose to go with one of these thrift book companies. So it's just a little bit of effort to try to play around and try to figure out how to get what you're looking for. Like I was recently looking for The Miracle of Ebenezer Scrooge, which is a children's YA, and they hardly had any copies left because it's no longer in print. If it's no longer in print in Amazon, and if someone is selling it on eBay, they're going to jack up the price very high. You can see here. So because booksellers know if this book is no longer available, I can sell it for a lot higher. But if you can get this book in essence anywhere and on Amazon, then and I have multiple copies, then I'm going to sell it for cheap, $3, $4, $5, $6. So that's just one way to get what you're looking for. Okay, let's go to the next website. Okay, so this is thriftbooks.com. They also have their own website, just like they have their own store on eBay where you can search with a different kind of parameters. You're not limited to things on eBay. They have all kinds of cool stuff on here. They do sell new titles as well, but preliminary they sell secondhand or used books or maybe discounted books or bargain books they get from Overstock, from stores. You can search by, just like on Amazon, you can search by the sellers. I think they have like a search by New York Times, top sellers over the years. I think they have search by category. You can see here they have a lot of different options. New and trending might be some of the newest ones. Like if you see the new Ina Garten book, Barefoot Contessa, that's brand new in bookstores, but it's also on their site. Sometimes you can get it for a couple dollars less than you would get it like at Barnes & Noble. But honestly, Amazon will be the cheapest price still for brand new books. But if you look under the categories like their thrift book deals, their sales, their $5 sections, the just arrived can also be brand new or bargain books. I like the under $5. You can just kind of cruise around and see what they have. There is a search feature on there. You can search by title as well, I believe, at the top. And I like how they have sections. Like here's a witchy section. So let's see what kind of witchy books they have since we're in October. Lots of great. Slewfoot, amazing book. Spell Shop, that one's new. The XX, terrible book, don't buy it. Awful, awful, awful. The Witches, Royal Doll. So they have a lot of good choices here for Halloween, October. You can see the prices here, right? $3, $4. And if you click a book, it'll tell you the condition, similar as you would have gotten on eBay, for example. But you can look for like witchy deals. There's witchy new ones. So they have a lot more categories than you can get on eBay. I haven't direct compared a price from the same book on their site versus the same book on eBay. But I do buy a lot of books from both. So that's really, and they have articles on here as well. They have other recommendations and things like that. So they have their Practical Magic. These are all like very well-known books here. Attica Witch, Mercedes Witch. So I'm trying to think if I have that one actually. I think so. I do like how they have a little summaries of some of the well-known books. They do some blogging and things of that nature. Witch of Blackbird Pond, that's an absolutely phenomenal book, even though it's middle grade. It's a Newbery Award-winning book. But I'm going to take you into the next site now, which is the Book Bundler. The Book Bundler is very unique. It's thebookbundler.com, I believe. I'll link all of these websites below. So the Book Bundler is a subscribe book box service, so to speak. It's not like a book of the month club. You can search by category, types of book, genre, and basically you can choose, 5, 10, 15, 20, whatever of your category. Let's say it's YA, romance, mystery. They will send you a box of good quality, secondhand books, but they will be surprises. You don't know what you're going to get. So you can search by age. You can search by category here, mystery, thriller, adult bestsellers. They tend to have steamy romance. They have some Christmas boxes. You can search by, I think, horror, supernatural. They have the love-inspired, inspirational romance, clean romance, Western novels. They have nonfiction, business, money, bestsellers, Chicken Soup for the Soul bundles. Sometimes certain author bundles, if there's an author that's written a bazillion books, like James Baldacci or D.N.R. Kuntz, bestsellers over time, mystery thrillers. But the premise is you might get 10 books or 5 books, in this case, for $15, or what is that, 10 books for $25, whatever the rate might be. I think it'll make it clear, is it a hardback bundle, softback bundle, and basically you don't know what you're going to get. I have purchased from them before. I've had 2 book boxes from them. One was a holiday box and one was a contemporary fiction. And I'd say out of the 10 I got from my contemporary fiction box, 8 out of the 10 of them are ones I like. 2 of them I just don't think I ever would have read. But it is kind of exciting, and they do tend to make pretty good picks. The books are in good condition. And the covers are ripped up. There isn't stickers all over them. They are, I'd say, classified as the very good to very good, but mostly very good conditions, similar to what you get on eBay for very good. I love that Dover. These are the special collections. So they had a Christmas one, Dover Classics, hardbacks. You can get storybooks, religious books. So it is a pretty good deal overall. The downside is you don't get to choose what you get. You just have to know what category you want, and you have to be a reader who loves to read almost anything. I mean, if you get a box of 10 and only 7 or 8 out of 10 you want to read, you can give 2 away or resell them or exchange them somewhere. So this is an amazing way, especially if you're a teacher, or to get kids' books, or for your grandkids to stock a home library. You can get kids' books for a really good price, paperback or hardback. The YA section, actually a friend of mine purchased the YA section. Some vampire books, she said, were amazing. They're a little slow to ship out. It can take, 10 days to ship out. It takes time to bundle packages and put things together. They make the selections for you. Anyway, I'm going to move on now to the next website. Next website is hpb.com, halfpricebooks.com. So they have some good choices. They're mostly going to be more new condition, but at half price, kind of like what they might be getting from Overstock, from bookstores, or the authors themselves. Definitely you could get the equivalent of a brand new hardback for half price. Literally, I think they come to about half price of what the going rate might be. Not quite as inexpensive as the thriftbooks.com or the eBay options, but you see, Back of the North Wind, for example, $9.49, usually it's about $20. These can beat Amazon prices, because Amazon, it might be, $12 or $15.99. Amazon is better than Barnes & Noble or any traditional bookstore. But half-price books, now they only have, certain selections, certain books that they get in Overstock. They don't have everything. None of these bookstores have everything. It's just kind of hit and miss. And again, you have to enjoy and perusing for books. But I have found some gems on here, like some fantasy books that can generally be, you know, $29.99 or $27.99 if you use your 10% Barnes and Noble card, or maybe $22.99 at Amazon. I've been able to get them for $14.99 or $12.99. So $8 for a hardback that might normally be, you know, 17, which Amazon will probably be about 12. So there is a benefit to using half-price books. It just depends on what you're looking for. They do have categories: romance, thriller. You know, I do like their New York Times bestseller section. You do see a lot more new books on here, newer titles that you can get at half price. I did get a few books that had like a sticky sticker on the cover that I had to use a hot blow dryer to get them off, that they don't generally do in mainstream bookstores. They don't put the stickers right on the book like that. That did happen. But they do have some great titles. Okay, let's go on to the next website. All right, the next website is pretty self-explanatory. It's Amazon. Obviously, you know how to get books the way you normally would on Amazon, but Amazon does have sections for deals, bargains, deal of the day. You can go under the books category. There's a tab. Sometimes they'll have $5 books, $10 books. You can see they change it every day. But there's always a tab under the sort that's called deals, which changes every day as well. And you can get Kindle book or print book deals. And you can search for deals. There's not a ton of choices. It's just select books every day. I check it every morning. It's just a habit I do with my coffee. But you get a lot more nonfiction, cookbooks, and things of that nature. But they do have fiction, as you can see, mystery and thriller, science fantasy. There's only two right now. So that's one way you can find really super good deals on Amazon. Obviously, there's Black Friday deals, there's Prime Day deals, which there's Boxing Day deals. I think those you can wait for those big events, but basically the rest is self-explanatory. All right, so now we go to my favorite website outside of Amazon, which is bookoutlet.com. Amazing finds. I buy hundreds of dollars of books here. You just go to their homepage. You can see their top titles. You can see very popular titles, newer titles, well-known titles, hardbacks for $10, $5, $12, books by category, thrills, kids books, you know, holiday finds. You can see the prices. They have categories for bargain books, super deals, newly marked down books, collections. I've gotten some amazing box sets for like $15 with like 6 books in them or more even, like the Anna Green Gables Little House on the Prairie sets. Frugal finds. Let's go into frugal finds. Books under $5. $5. And these are all good quality books. I've purchased several books from them. Mass market to trade paperback to hardback to even some nonfiction and adult coloring books as well. But look you can get all these books for $4.99. And they're going to be older books, of course, but they're going to be like new. They are going to be new. But look at 4,000 books for $5. You can go search by fiction. Let's go to new fiction, new arrivals. These would be the newest books, or newly published, actually, books that are recently published, I guess, in the last few months. And you will see Overstock, where you can get these books for like $7.99, $8.99, $9.99. If they're hardbacks, is probably the standard. I mean, it's such a good deal. You can go in here and search under book categories. You can search for like fantasy or top categories, bestsellers. Let's go to bestsellers. The top 200 right now selling on their website. That's a great book there. Tessa Bailey's Christmas book. There's a Christian Hannah box set. Lots of books here I have in my cart right now. I've already gone through all of this. Amazing finds. But if you just look at these prices, they're incredible. And I'm going to show you what I have in my cart right now in a second. And the good news is that you can shop over a week and it'll keep everything in your cart. You know, it doesn't disappear if you don't purchase right away. But I'm looking for hardbacks now. These are hardbacks in the $10 range. I think all of them, $8.99, $9.99. These are fantasy primarily. So I'm going to see if I can maybe add one to my cart. I'm going to add one, and then I'm going to show you like when I'm perusing, if I'm not even sure I might like a book, I'll just add them to my cart. But look how many books. I have probably 60 books in here. And now when, you know, I don't end up usually checking out with all the ones I add because I go back and I look at each one and then I read the synopsis after I've just seen ones I might like and added them. These are all books I might want. And I always check the quantities because I've often added the same one twice. So you might see a quantity of 2 or 3 by accident. Always check the quantities before you check out because I've accidentally had quantities of 2 or 3 and hit checkout and didn't realize it until the box came. Yes, it's at $500. I'll probably take out at least 10 of them. But yeah, I'm well known to spend several $100s, but you can get 40, 50, 60 books. Can you imagine how much that would cost if you went to Barnes & Noble or even Amazon? I think in general, you know, I try to stick to 10 at a time. But yeah, that's bookoutlet.com. Okay, so awkward and weird as it was trying to show you that on my phone with screen record, I hope you got an idea of where you can get some good bargain books. I love book shopping in person because I like to see and feel and look at the covers. And so I always start with the bargain. It depends. If I have a couple $100 I want to blow, I'll just go on a Barnes & Noble book haul. There you go. If I've spent too much money this month, but I feel I need to go buy some books, then I'll go do the thrift. So I always want to start with the thrift just to know what your town has available and see what you can find. If you're looking for one particular book though, something new or within the last year, I would just grab it on Amazon or look for a used copy on eBay or thriftbooks.com. If you want like a big haul of fantasy books or something, you can look under category on any of those websites. You know, I am the kind of person that I'm very particular about buying used books. I mostly buy all my books brand new, generally on Amazon because they're the best price. But sometimes if I'm on a budget one month or if I spend too much and I want to try out some new books that I may or may not want to keep, then I will definitely buy on any of those websites and I will search under the new or like new category and you still get a bargain. But I don't want, like, I want my books to feel like me. I don't want my books to like be grungy or smell like other people or other people's food or fingerprints. Like I want a book to like feel quintessentially me. So like when I grabbed this Macbeth book, it was brand new. So I pretty much, even though it was at the thrift store, so I think it was going to be good. The one I got that's all banged up, the one about the Jack the Ripper, it's not one I probably would keep when I'm done reading. I would give it back away. I normally like to keep my books and collect. So it just really depends. So I'm going to be reading these books and reviewing them for you and telling you what I discover over the next few months. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you found something you like, and I'll see you in the next video.